What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm back today talking about more hoops. And today's topic is a topic that I have heard discussed a little bit more frequently lately. And I want to chime in on it because I think it's important. And I certainly want you guys to also chime in, so please leave some comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. But I want to talk about the greatest point guard in NBA history and who that is. Because in my honest opinion, the greatest point guard to ever grace an NBA court is Steph Curry. Like, no doubt, right? And that's not a knock against any of the greats that have come before him. It's just Stephen Curry is the most effective and just amazing player that I've seen play the point guard position, right? Even though he doesn't play it as a traditional point guard would, right? And I think that's where a lot of the argument comes from. Is a lot of people are like, oh, well, Stephen Curry is basically like a shooting guard in a point guard's, body. And like, I don't want to hear none of that, right? Like LeBron James, is playing point guard half the time, especially before Luka got to the Lakers. But people aren't saying he's the greatest point guard of all time or this or that, whatever, right? It's just, there's a lot of things that go into it, right? But let's talk about this because I think this is an important conversation to have. And I've just been looking at who are people saying is the greatest point guard of all time, right? The consensus around the league is if they're not picking Steph Curry, they're saying it's Magic Johnson, right? And when I say consensus around the league, I mean people that follow the league, not like NBA players themselves, right? Maybe they think the same thing. I don't know. But Magic Johnson is usually regarded as the best point guard of all time, right? And then I think Steph Curry has pretty much secured his spot as number two if he's not number one for anyone that's considering Magic number one. And then after that, you have a combination, it varies, but you have Isaiah Thomas, you have Jerry West, you have Oscar Robertson, you have John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. Some people, are throwing out Steve Nash, Russell Westbrook. There's a lot of different names that come out there, right? But if I really had to break this down to who I think are like the top five, right? And outside of, Curry and Magic, there's not really any particular order, but I would say it's Steph Curry, Magic Johnson. Then I think you have John Stockton, then Chris Paul. And frankly, after that, I think Jason Kidd, right? As great as Isaiah Thomas was and as great as Oscar Robertson was, I think Jason Kidd was just an insane distributor of the basketball, really understood the game on a different level. Similar to, how Chris Paul plays the game now. I think Jason Kidd and Chris Paul are very similar. They just had somewhat different play styles. But obviously, Steph Curry and Magic are going to be the guys that are at the very top because of the level of success that they've had in terms of winning in the league. But the reason why I think Steph Curry is the best point guard ever is, let's start with just the facts, right? He is an 11-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion. He was the steals leader in the league in 2015, 2016. 4-time NBA champ, 11-time All-NBA. He's part of the NBA 75th anniversary team. Magic is as well, obviously. He's been an All-Star MVP. He's been, a Finals MVP. Like, there's just the accolades go on and on, right? But it's not even about the accolades. It's one that he is the best shooter of all time, no doubt. Like, I don't even want to hear an argument that there's someone that can shoot a basketball better than Stephen Curry. That would be preposterous, okay? Just point blank. But the fact that, Stephen Curry basically led a team that went 73-9 in the regular season, right? They didn't go on and win the championship that year, but went 73-9, lost to LeBron's Cavs in 2016. Like that in and of itself is just an incredible feat, right? And this guy was a guy that was not highly touted coming out of high school, was not even that highly touted coming out of college until, his final season there at Davidson, obviously. Go check the tape. Crazy footage you'll see of, babyface Wardell over there. But I just think the thing that I really want to address is that being a point guard, the terminology there and what it means to be a point guard in the NBA has changed a lot since Magic Johnson was in the league, dating back to the 80s and 90s, right? Before it was like, okay, the point guard is the guy that handles the ball, he passes the ball around, and he scores if he has to, right? That has changed significantly, and that's not just because of Steph Curry. You have guys like Derrick Rose, you have guys like Russell Westbrook, you have Ja Morant now. Like, there's just a ton of guys that are more of score-first point guards, right? But they're still facilitating the offense in a sense. And I think the thing that people have to remember is that similar to like the quarterback in football, there's different ways to play the game, but the quarterback position is always the position that's really managing the game, right? Just because Steph Curry is not getting 10 assists a night, right, on a regular basis, does not mean that he's not managing the game, right? Like, if you think about it, playing point guard is, quote unquote, you're being the extension of the coach on the court, right? And Steph Curry is consistently making the right play, right? And I know a lot of people will hear that statement and be like, oh, well, he's chucking up shots from, 35 feet, this, that, whatever. To be honest with you, I think a lot of people, including myself, would prefer Steph Curry to be taking a 35-footer than Draymond Green taking a 15-footer, or Kevon Looney taking a 10-footer, right? Like, you have to think about that. It might seem like a wild shot and a wild move that Steph is doing, but you have to understand that the game is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and he has to get in rhythm, and he's your best chance to win. If Steph Curry gets hot, it doesn't matter if he's shooting from 40 feet or from half court. It doesn't matter. Like, if he's making shots consistently, that's your best chance to win, right? Like, it's the same thing. Would you rather have the ball in, LeBron or Luka's hands as opposed to, Rui Hachimura? Like, it's just, you have to think about it that way. So just because he's not getting a ton of assists doesn't mean that he's not the best point guard ever, right? Like, I get it. People want point guards to, make everyone around them better. But I would argue that a lot of guys have really good seasons when they go to the Warriors and play with Steph Curry. It's by nature of the fact that he's drawing so much attention offensively that guys are going to get open, right? And just because it's not Steph necessarily making that pass, maybe Steph is getting the hockey assist, right, where he passes to Jimmy Butler, and then Jimmy Butler passes to another open guy after that. He's still facilitating the offense in a sense. So that's one thing. Again, the shooting numbers. The best shooter of all time, right? For his career, shoots 42.3% from three. And he's been playing for 16 years in the league. That is impeccable, okay? Just absolutely astounding. But let's talk about Magic for a little bit, right? And let's just talk about the differences. Because Magic Johnson, obviously one of the greatest basketball players of all time, did a lot for the NBA in terms of just marketing the league and, growing the league into what it is today, right? And he still has a very valued opinion and heavy presence around the sport. He's not someone to scoff at. He is a guy that really put in the work, put in the effort, and played the game the right way as well, right? But in terms of who is more effective and who is more important to their team, I would have to argue that it's Steph. Just because, Magic played with Kareem, right? Kareem is, before LeBron, was the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, right? And a big part of that is because of Magic, being able to understand where to feed him the ball. But Kareem had the most unstoppable move of all time, the sky hook. And Magic obviously has, one more championship than Steph does. He's got a couple more finals MVPs over Steph. But I just think the game is different now. And again, I just want to make a point here that it's not about who averages more assists or this or that, whatever. At the end of the day, the game is about putting the ball in the basket. Okay? Like that's just what it is, right? And I'm taking Steph over Magic Johnson because Steph is going to put the ball in the basket. That's just it. That's just it. And at the same time, it's not like Steph Curry is not a good passer. Averaged, 8.5 assists in the best, assist season of his career. And for everybody to get hung up on, oh, he's not a traditional point guard, who cares, right? The NBA is going to change so much over the next 20 years. I guarantee you there's going to be someone else where you're going to be like, oh, well, he doesn't play like Steph Curry, so I can't consider him a good point guard, right? Everyone's going to forget about everybody else that was playing the traditional point guard role after that. It's just like there's certain things that are valuable in the NBA at different points in time, right? Who's to say that Magic Johnson would be as good as he was back then if he played right now? Right? I'm not saying one way or the other, but eras change. The ways teams play against each other changes. But the fact that Steph has been able to be so effective, and frankly, he's 37 years old. A lot of people don't give him enough credit for having that same type of longevity that like LeBron has, right? Steph Curry is still one of the top players in the NBA. And every time he steps on the floor, he's giving his team a chance to win. It doesn't matter who he's suiting up with. It doesn't at all. Right? And he's still one of the top players in the NBA, and he's probably still going to be one of the top players in the NBA until he retires. Right? It's just there's too much that he has in his corner for me to be like, no, dude, it's Magic. Like not even close. I can't say that. Right? So I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. What do you think about this debate? Where do you think, Steph Curry lands in terms of best point guard of all time? Do you think he's the best point guard of all time? Or do you think it's Magic Johnson? Or do you think it's someone else? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I would greatly appreciate you guys, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. It's a free, easy way to support the channel. And it helps me, and it helps YouTube understand what you guys like, and I can keep giving you more of it. So that's all I got, guys. I'm going to check you later, man. Stay up, stay blessed, stay safe, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.